Hello, good evening, friends, to our short conversation. I'm Naveen Mahendarkar, and I have with me a senior journalist, Mr. Bapu Narayankar, with me. Good evening, sir. Welcome to Short Conversation with me.
Good evening, Namaskar, Mahendrakar. You can proceed with your questions and topic of the day.
Yeah, sir, we have a very interesting topic on Twitter this evening. Twitter has removed the blue ticks of, Venkaya Naidu and a few of the RSS leaders. Your opinion on this, sir?
So, I think your question is do you think that Modi will not act? Is that the question?
No, no. What I'm telling is, Twitter today removed the blue ticking of Vice President Mr. Venkaya Naidu as well as the few RSS leaders. So, what is your opinion on this?
I think, Mahendrakar, the important question here is we have spoken about this issue in many other videos of ours. So the question should have been, do you think Modi will not act? Mahendrakar, what I think is this, that the Modi government is constricting the legal space of Twitter by giving them a chance. The government gave some more time to Twitter to comply with the new IT laws. This has an advantage. Suppose if the Modi government would have banned Twitter on May 26th, then the microblogging site would have moved the court. And we all know how the courts work. They would have come down heavily upon the government for making the action, for taking the action in a haste. So, Modi is taking all steps to give time for Twitter to comply so that the court should not give a verdict in its favor. So, this is what I mean by constricting the legal rights of Twitter. I would like to ask the people of this country, which Prime Minister has been so decisive as Modi? Nobody, at least after Indira Gandhi, that is my view. Modi takes his time to act, and when he does, the sword falls in such a manner that there is no chance for anyone to escape. He banned American Express, Diners Club, and the Chinese apps for violating India's laws. Even the courts have not come to their rescue earlier. So, people should have patience and trust Modi because even in the beginning, even I was of the opinion that the government of India should take immediate action or a very stringent action of at least suspending in a haste. They can take later. That is an ultimate or the last resort they can take. But this is a very good move. I'm now beginning to understand that the Modi government is trying to constrict the legal rights of Twitter. And people of India should understand this because it is a democratic setup and moreover, it is a right wing government. So there are this left liberal cabal who will try to attack Narendra Modi government in the name of freedom of expression. So the Modi government is creating the base and giving time to Twitter to comply with the uh, new set of laws to gain the verdict of court in favor of the government. That is that we have to understand. So this is a strategy adopted by Modi government against Twitter. So you should have patience and have trust in Modi.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Narayankar, moving ahead, in case if there is some kind of a ban on Twitter, don't you think that banning an American company would have some kind of, not just an American company, but banning American companies per se would have some kind of a repercussion against the government of India?
What repercussions? When American Express was banned, were there any repercussions? No. What happened when American President Joe Biden said the country would not supply raw material to India for making vaccines? We all saw NSA Ajit Doval calling up his counterpart in America, and America relented. Why? America cannot sideline India because the geopolitical power game has shifted the Western world focus to Asia Pacific and South China Sea region, where China is becoming a threat to the US strategic interest. Such being the case, America cannot omit India out of its calculations. America is dependent on India, not India is dependent on America. Therefore, India is in a position to call the shots. And I'm sure, Mendrakar, Ajit Doval would have made this case when America had decided to stop supplying raw material for making vaccines. What I want to say is that India has the greater advantage of calling the shots because India is very important for America to deal with China, which is threatening all the democratic nations around Asia, South Asia Pacific, and the South China Sea region, the coastal belt. So I don't think that India should be worried. Of course, in say some 30 years back, India's economy was not resplendent. But today, India's economy is so robust that we are now talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, and in fact, in the first wave of COVID, we have seen how Atmanirbhar Bharat slogan has pushed Indian economy further. So I don't think that the Indian government should be worried, and I am sure that Modi also is not worried about all these things because he has acted, he has banned American Express, Diners Club, and also Chinese apps.
Okay. Okay. With all this, non-compliance and day in and day out, Twitter is doing, doing something which is not, I would rather tell not anti-national activities, but they are not complying with the rules of the law of India. Do you think that Twitter should be banned from this country as such?
Mahendra, I will assure you, such a thing will not happen. Instead, Twitter will fall in line. It does not want to lose the business in India. They don't have any business in China. So where will they go? And only they have some 17 million followers, who use Twitter. It is such a small number. And such being the case, they don't want to lose this type of small business also in India. and things will become tough for the company if its status of an intermediary is lifted under the new IT law. If that happens, then Twitter will lose its immunity and would have to spend most of its time battling in the courts. So, no company likes litigation.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Narayankar, I would like to ask you that lifting of immunity clause to Twitter may galvanize the opposition to paint the government as a fascist one, which wants to control the social media. Don't you think it affects the government's image?
Anyways, Mahendrakar, people are angry over the Modi government for inaction. The government should act because no foreign company has the right to interfere in the matters of India's sovereignty. This is a question of sovereignty of India because Twitter has not been elected by the people of this country, nor they are having, nor it is a legislature, nor it is the court. So they are just, they don't have the fundamental rights because they are foreigners and they only have the right to life. They are the foreign companies and they don't have any fundamental rights. Therefore, and I will tell you, India had banned American Express and Chinese apps under the exports and imports policy. So whichever company it may be, even Twitter also is governed by these import and export policies of India because they are earning because of the people of India, using Twitter, and they are exporting money back to America. So they are doing their business, and their business should be restricted only to business, but they don't have any business to interfere in the matters of India's sovereignty and India's right to governance. And moreover, government also should take tough action ignoring the image or the narrative of the left liberal cabal would have it in future. Suppose India lifts this immunity status under the new IT law, the left liberal cabal will will try to criticize Narendra Modi government, calling it fascist, and controlling the social media and also suppressing freedom of expression. Are bhai, I want to ask Twitter itself that you don't have any rights, to fight for the freedom of expression. But when you are the first to restrict the freedom of expression by blocking the Twitter handles of some celebrities or some important personalities like Kangana Ranaut, and during US elections, we saw permanent suspension of President Donald Trump. When you are when you are violating the rights of expression of freedom of expression of freedom of speech of others, and you run a bogey or a campaign saying that freedom of expression of people will be hampered if the Indian government acts tough. This is, this is ridiculous. And it is double standards played by Twitter. This has to be, even the government, I believe, will take tough action in coming days. People should have trust. They should not jump the gun because Twitter is an arm of, it is an arm of deep state in the US. And you should know what deep state means. So it will not be very easy to handle them because it is run by all types of, you know, I wouldn't say, you see, uh, there have been many YouTubes and information, and we have also been writing that the fundings of Twitter, we all know it comes from the terrorist groups and other. I don't want to talk much on this subject in this video because it will go long. So these are my opinions. One last thing I would like to say is the Indian community should have patience and trust Modi. He will act. Uh, so he has given the final notice. The government has given the final notice to Twitter saying that you must comply, otherwise we are going to lift the immunity clause, which is there. You will not be treated as intermediary. So when that happens, then they have to face the music in courts, and no company would like to. So instead of banning, I think I think Twitter will fall in line. They don't want to lose the business in India.
Okay, Narayankar, it was a very interesting insight from you, and hopefully we look forward that Twitter complies with the IT rules of Indian governments, and we also hope that the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, would definitely act tough against all those who indulge in anti-national activities in the country. We look forward that because since others have followed suit like WhatsApp or Facebook, I only wonder why does it stop Twitter to comply with the IT rules when they are mandated to do so. Anyway, maybe in the coming few days, I believe that Twitter would act gracefully and with a lot of conscience because it is a very important market for them to neglect just because of a few left liberal leaning ideologies. I'm very sure that Twitter would go a long way in complying with the rules of the land, Mr. Narayankar. Anyway, thanks a lot for our viewers, and we also like to have a lot of viewers watching live and asking us a lot of questions, interesting questions that we would be able to take up from you. Thank you, Mr. Narayankar, and thank you for all of you viewers. Thanks a lot. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mahendrakar. Thanks for again. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.
Jai Hind.